Ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn because now it's about Meghan Markle, the Duchess who once captivated the world by marrying a prince, stepping into a Hollywood storm that threatens to undo the very empire she's worked so fiercely to build. But before we dive into legal filings and insider leaks, let's go back for a moment to that precise time when the world seemed poised to crown Meghan, not just a royal, but a creative visionary who would change television itself. The year was 2020. The air buzzed with pandemic panic, but in the world of streaming giants, a different kind of frenzy was taking hold. Subscriber growth, original content, and high-profile deals were the name of the game. The public learned almost in passing that Harry and Meghan had signed a multi-million-dollar deal with Netflix. The news exploded like a meteor across social media, press headlines, and late-night talk shows. Some hailed it as the modern reinvention of royal relevance. Others rolled their eyes, calling it the ultimate cash grab. Yet, even the skeptics couldn't deny one thing. This was unprecedented. Here were two figures who'd escaped the confines of Buckingham Palace, now forging a brand new identity as global storytellers. And Netflix was willing to pay handsomely for the privilege of telling their stories or letting them tell others. Among the projects teased in press releases and interviews, one stood out: Pearl, an animated series inspired by powerful women throughout history, fronted by a brave, curious 12-year-old girl named Pearl. The concept felt modern, noble, and perfectly suited to Meghan's carefully crafted brand. As an advocate for women's empowerment, the press releases spoke glowingly of it. Animation insiders buzzed that it could rival the prestige of other streaming hits like BoJack Horseman or Arcane. Yet, lurking beneath the glitter was something darker, a legal spark that would soon ignite flames. While Pearl developed behind the scenes, the public only heard occasional updates. Staff hired, animation studios approached, scripts quietly refined, but nothing aired. Months slipped by, and in Hollywood, silence often speaks volumes. Then came the whispers. In British literary circles, an author began noticing something strange. Her book series Pearl Power had existed for years. It too centered on a young girl named Pearl.
Meghan Markle kicked off CNN this morning after a heated dispute with Anderson Cooper. Meghan Markle was reportedly kicked off CNN this morning after a heated dispute with veteran journalist Anderson Cooper, an incident that has quickly become the talk of the media world. According to sources, Markle was invited to the morning program to discuss her recent projects and public image, but the conversation took an unexpected turn when Cooper pressed her on sensitive topics. Eyewitnesses claim the exchange grew tense as Cooper insisted on asking pointed questions about Markle's relationship with the royal family and her influence in American politics. Markle, visibly frustrated, attempted to steer the discussion back to her initiatives, but the clash of perspectives only intensified. The tension reportedly reached a breaking point when Markle accused Cooper of being unfair and biased in his questioning. At that moment, producers made the surprising decision to cut the segment short and ask her to leave the set. Your opinion matters. Comment below and let me know what you think. Also, don't forget to like, share, and add it to your favorites for more updates.
Here is another one that I really actually cannot understand. Girl, you are like intending that half of the, probably like 1 hour a day. Usually hands, shoulders and stuff like legs are white and the face is super fried. Because on suits, I did not even know you have black. And now, it's like girls' weekend retreat, overshadow growing security. People do not know who the fuck you are. Plus, you were a yacht girl on Croatian yachts. Like, we knew this before. Even like she became like Harry's like wife. I mean, look at this. She had 2 Netflix shows, Trash the Queen, interviews and stuff. Nothing stuck, not even that jam. It was too watery to stuck around.
I'm so glad you guys get to meet Courtney as well. Yeah. We've been friends since college, just so you know. And I remember seeing it on Instagram and going, is that Courtney? And they're in a minivan somewhere in South America. Yeah. Like but it's amazing when you can find what you're able to create in a small space.
Hi, everybody. So nice to see you. And I love that we're all together and we're talking about my favorite things, decorating. Although it's not even going to be decorating, it's really going to be about, it really is the family home. Like this is our family bookstore. And I love that I get to talk to my friends, my new friend, and about a book that I found as I was going through it and looking just how intentional and all about family values that this book is about. And it was just, I think there's a lot that people are going to take away from that. And I just want to have a fun conversation with, because we all love what we do and building our homes.
Yes.
So welcome.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank
I'm
you
so
for
glad you
having me.
guys get to meet Courtney as well.
Yeah.
We've been friends since college, just so you know.
Yeah. It's really an honor to be here and to be chatting about our book. Oh, sorry. This makes me nervous.
I can hold it for you also.
I've done so many of these, and this
Right.
is the first time I've been nervous. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I love it. And I mean, we're all, I mean, I've been to your home. I've now seen so many pictures of your home.
Yeah.
It's really great because it isn't just about necessarily decorating, but it's about the values and what was important to you. And I don't even know how you had time to do it because you have like 5 kids, but the different homes that you went to and your home. Talk a little bit about
Yeah.
what inspired you and what you wanted people to know when you were putting this together.
Yeah, well, I think there's so many books that you can pick up that have pretty images or can inspire you visually. I feel like when it comes to creating a home for your family, it should be a unique space that reflects your family.
Right.
And from my motherhood journey. And I remember very specifically being in the car and my daughter talking to me in the back seat and just doing this blah, 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 blah. And I wasn't listening to her. She was telling me about something at school, and I was just like, I mean, it's normal. Like, we do this. Like, we drown our kids out sometimes. Like, it's not like you're a bad mother if you do it. But I was like, wait a second. I'm not listening to her. I'm so busy. And we just wanted something else. So we decided to sell everything, and we sold the house and took the kids out of school, sold all the stuff, and we went and traveled for what turned out to be 18 months.
And they documented all of this. I mean, we hadn't been in touch during that period, and I remember seeing it on Instagram and going, is that Courtney? And they're in a minivan somewhere in
Camper
South
van,
America. Like but it's amazing when you can find what you're able to create in a small space, when a lot of us, especially here, have a lot of, I grew up in a small duplex. We all have a lot more opportunity, space, privilege, or you have a lot of open space as you did growing up on this farm. But when you have a limited amount of space, what are the practical tools that she's been able to implement for her family and for her kids to feel connected? When I think so much of what we're really speaking to ultimately is, how do we open our doors, our hearts, and our homes, both for our own families and when we have guests, especially as the holiday season is approaching? What are those tips and those elements that you can translate from a small apartment as a single woman to a couple that's dating to, or when you have a full family with a lot of children? What are those practical things that you're both incredible at making a house a home?
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's good to have you here again. If you're new, this is the space where we break down viral stories, celebrity narratives, media drama, and the online moments that somehow turn the smallest details into global debates. And today's story is a perfect example of that phenomenon, because somehow we're talking about candles, not politics, not royalty succession, not global policy. Candles. And yet, this story has everything. Old interviews, resurfaced clips, internet detectives, brand launches, pricing debates, media commentary, and of course, the internet's favorite phrase, this you. There's something uniquely modern about that phrase. It's not just slang anymore, it's a cultural weapon. It's how people enforce accountability online. It's how narratives are shaped. It's how contradictions are exposed, sometimes fairly, sometimes not. And in this case, the target of the internet's this you moment is Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. Let's set the scene properly. Years ago, in 2016, Meghan Markle was not a duchess. She was an actress known for Suits and the creator of a lifestyle blog called The Tig. That project wasn't just a side hobby, it was her attempt to build a full lifestyle brand. Food, travel, wellness, inspiration, aesthetics, identity. The Tig was her vision of aspirational but accessible living. And during a public talk around that time, she spoke about her philosophy. She emphasized affordability. She talked about creating things people could actually enjoy without feeling excluded. In that context, she referenced high-price candles and made a comment along the lines of not wanting $100 candles on her platform, describing that price point as out of touch with her vision of accessibility. At the time, it was a branding statement, nothing controversial, nothing viral, just a creator explaining her philosophy. Fast forward nearly a decade, Meghan has re-entered the lifestyle space with a brand called As Ever, a polished, curated lifestyle offering that includes home goods, food-related products, and yes, candles, premium candles. And this is where the internet did what it always does. It remembered, it dug up the quote, it paired it with the product, and it asked the question, "This you?" Now, on the surface, that looks like a contradiction. Old statement, no expensive candles. New reality, luxury candles. Internet reaction, gotcha. But when you slow it down, the situation is more layered than the memes suggest. First, the original 2016 comment was not a blanket rejection of premium products. It was a statement about individual pricing and accessibility within a specific brand philosophy at a specific moment in time. Meghan was building a lifestyle identity around relatability, something aspirational but not elitist. That matters because brand philosophy is not a lifetime contract. It evolves, it expands, it adapts, and that's exactly what happened. Between the Tig and As Ever, a decade passed. A decade in which Meghan's entire life changed. Public scrutiny intensified, her platform expanded globally, and her role shifted from lifestyle blogger to one of the most scrutinized public figures in the world. So when she returns to lifestyle branding, it is not a time capsule version of the Tig, it's a commercial evolution of it. But the internet rarely deals in evolution, it deals in snapshots. That's where the tension comes from. Because the internet loves contradictions more than context. A single clip becomes a weapon. A single quote becomes a narrative. A single screenshot becomes proof. And once that happens, nuance usually loses. The pricing comparison becomes the center of the conversation. People point out that As Ever candles are priced in the premium category. Critics frame it as inconsistency. Supporters frame it as business evolution. Both sides build narratives around the same set of facts. But here's what gets missed in most of the discourse. Luxury pricing is not just about the product. It's about positioning, branding, packaging, experience, and market placement. A candle is not just wax and fragrance. It's storytelling in physical form. It's lifestyle signaling. It's part of a broader ecosystem. That's why the debate is less about candles and more about perception, because Meghan has never been a neutral figure in media culture. Everything she does is amplified. Everything she says is replayed. Everything she builds is analyzed. And that creates a feedback loop where even normal business decisions become symbolic. For critics, the candles become evidence of hypocrisy. For supporters, they become evidence of unfair scrutiny. For everyone else, it becomes content, and that's the modern media cycle in one sentence. But let's be fair to the mechanics here. People change industries, people refine ideas, people evolve their thinking. A statement made in 2016 during a blog building phase is not necessarily a binding contract for a global brand launched years later under completely different circumstances. At the same time, the internet is not wrong for remembering. Public figures do get held to their words. That's part of visibility, that's part of influence, that's part of the trade-off. So both things are true at once. People are allowed to evolve, people are allowed to question evolution. The conflict comes from expecting one clean answer when reality is messy, and that messiness is what fuels viral moments. It's also worth noting something ironic here. The resurfaced quote actually reinforces continuity more than contradiction. Meghan was talking about building a lifestyle brand even back then. The TIG was already a prototype for what she is doing now. So, in many ways, this is not a reinvention, it's a continuation at scale. The internet just prefers to frame it as a reversal because reversals are more entertaining. There's also a broader cultural layer to this conversation. Celebrity entrepreneurship has become a genre in itself. When public figures launch products, those products are no longer just commercial goods. They become statements about identity. People interpret them as reflections of character, values, and authenticity. So when pricing doesn't align with expectations, it triggers debate, not because candles are important, but because symbols are. And in today's media environment, symbols travel faster than explanations. The As Ever brand, whether intentionally or not, sits inside that ecosystem. It is lifestyle commerce in a hypervisible world. Every product becomes a talking point. Every launch becomes content. Even something as simple as matches, reportedly tied to candle bundles, becomes part of the narrative. Because once a brand enters the cultural spotlight, nothing stays small anymore. Everything scales. Everything gets interpreted. Everything becomes a signal. And that's really what this story is about. Not whether a candle costs $64 or $100 or $200, but how quickly meaning is assigned to everyday things when they intersect with fame. Because the internet doesn't just observe anymore, it interprets, judges, and archives in real time. And once something is archived, it can always come back. That's the world we're in. A world where a comment from 2016 can reappear in 2026 and shape a conversation about a product that didn't exist at the time the comment was made. A world where this you is both a joke and a cultural mechanism. A world where context competes with virality and usually loses speed. So what do we actually take away from this? Maybe it's this. The internet is incredibly good at finding contradictions, but not always good at understanding continuity. And human lives, especially public ones, are mostly continuity. Not snapshots, not screenshots, not isolated quotes. Continuity. And when you zoom out far enough, most gotcha moments start to look less like revelation and more like chapters in a longer story that people are only seeing fragments of. Now let's bring this home, because whether you support Meghan, criticize her, or simply observe from the sidelines, this story reveals something bigger than celebrity culture. It reveals how modern attention works: fast, selective, emotional, and constantly searching for meaning in fragments. And that's why stories like this spread so easily, because they don't require you to know everything, just enough to react. And in that space between knowledge and reaction, the internet does the rest. So the next time you see a "this you" moment floating across your timeline, it might be worth asking a slightly different question. Is this actually contradiction, or just time passing? And on that note, that's where we'll wrap today's episode. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into viral stories, media narratives, and the online moments everyone ends up talking about. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you see this as a contradiction, or just normal evolution being turned into a headline? And as always, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and thank you for spending your time here. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.